Hey everyone, welcome to a sort of rant video about Marvel Rivals Season 2.
Alright, so this is what went wrong with Season 2, Marvel Rivals Honest Review from Pixels. Once again, I'll put the link to this video in the description once the video is done. And so let's see what he has to say.
Hey everyone, welcome to a sort of rant video about Marvel Rivals Season 2, which I am calling the Hellfire Slop Season. And the good news is we're going to be getting another one of these next year as well.
Hellfire Slop, okay.
In the season, we did have an event where we could vote for the best skin or, character who is looking the nicest. And they will get another skin next year in the next Hellfire Slop Season. The entire theme of this season has just been terrible. It's something that even in the comics, a lot of people didn't enjoy. I have no idea whether they thought this was going to be the really big thing for Season 2 here. This is sort of a theme that you would put in like a filler season, I guess. Maybe as a quick summer 1 month type of season. But having this as an entire season has just been terrible. In this video, we're going to break down everything that happened in this entire season, as well as just talk about the future of the game and, the player base declining rapidly as well. Why are people leaving the game? There's just so much going on that we need to talk about here. But let's start with the characters that they added in this season. And we have Emma here first. So Emma Frost, really cool character. Everybody wanted her to come to the game. It was nice. We finally got a Vanguard as well, a new Vanguard out of the game because the game's got way too many duelists. The game released with way too many characters, to be honest. That's why the balancing is so fucked, honestly. There's way too many duelists. We could go another 2 years of seasons and we still have enough duelists in this game. It's absolutely ridiculous. So it was nice to finally see Emma Frost come to the game as a Vanguard. She is relatively fun to play. However, she was in the game for up till Season 2.5, absolutely busted. And I kept saying she was the best tank in the game. I still think she's one of the strongest tanks in the game now, even with Groot being nerfed as well. A lot of people called me crazy. The amount of times I have won ranked games just because I banned Emma Frost, and the ones that I lost is when she wasn't banned and everybody was using her in those games. And it just goes to show the power level of this character, the crowd control of grabbing an enemy and just pretty much insta-killing them. She was just left in the game way too long, and the balancing issues we'll talk about later, but just way too long. However, she is a fun character. She's a cool character to play, and she's a nice addition to the game. We'll give them that. Now let's move on to Ultron. Ultron. I don't know, you guys take the piss of me saying Ultron like that.
That's how you say Ultron.
Anyway,
that's how you say it. Ultron.
This guy comes in, probably the weakest strategist in the game. However, he's made his way into a sort of meta right now with the flying meta going on. So he's met his role really. He's found his place in the roster. I like Ultron as a character. Having him in this game right now, was it really the right call? Probably not. It's the Hellfire Gala season. We're probably expecting more X-Men oriented characters, if I'm being honest. I don't know whose idea it was to put Emma along with Ultron in this game, but here we are. This is what's happened, and it's a very weird theme, honestly. There's so much stuff out there in the Marvel universe. You have like Mephisto's realm you can do Null with symbiotes and stuff. We've already have Clintar in the game as well. Doing seasons around things like that would be way more enjoyable than Hellfire Gala. There's so many different arcs and narratives that you could have pulled from, and this is what you put into the game. Combined with Emma Frost and Ultron. It's just the weirdest combination ever, and it's probably because everybody did cry about there being too many duelists, and they've probably have a batch of characters already made or close to being made, and concept ideas already planned out as to where, okay, the community wanted Vanguards and
I would talk about his criticism of just the concept of the Hellfire Gala. I am not a comics reader, so I don't know the original story of the Hellfire Gala, but to me it's a fine topic to go over because it introduces like another piece of Marvel lore to casual players who is like, what is this Hellfire Gala? Like, I even had to look up what it was and like who Emma Frost was. Of course I know who Ultron is, but I had to look up Emma Frost and the Hellfire Gala and get a certain amount of information. Of course, I don't know the full story, but I know enough a bit about it. So I don't have a problem with it. him saying it felt more like a filler saga, I think it was pretty warranted, because we literally had 2 full seasons of like straight up like main story lore, like big arcs. Season 0 was the initial convergence with the Dooms, and like, you know, the introduction of these multiple timelines converging and stuff like that. And then we go right into season 1 with the entirety of the Fantastic Four versus Dracula and saving Blade and all the other things that comes with it. So the Hellfire saga being like this cooldown period, and they even say it as much, like the Hellfire Gala was supposed to be like this like after party, you know, saving the Earth from Dracula, and then Ultron reawakens and crashes the party. Like it was supposed to be a cooldown period until Ultron shows up. So like I won't say that he's wrong in his opinion about the Hellfire Gala, because he probably knows more about the comics than I do. But me personally, I don't have a problem with it. And I also don't have a problem with Ultron and Emma coming together, because I don't think every single season needs to be this character needs to be here because X like storylines here, right? Would it be cool if we got 2 X-Men? Because, you know, the Hellfire Gala and the Krakoa? Of course, it would have been cool to have 2 X-Men. But Marvel Rivals is taking it upon itself to create its own narrative within the Marvel lore. Of course, taking certain aspects of the Marvel universe and putting it into their own, but it's kind of like what the MCU does, right? Where they take concepts and ideas from the comics and then molds it into their own storyline. So like him saying, oh yeah, Ultron feels out of place, it's like, yeah, that's the entire point of like the timeline convergence, is that things are not where they're supposed to be, and characters can just show up randomly for no reason because of the timelines, and Doctor Doom messing around with dimensions and time, right? That's kind of the whole shtick of Marvel Rivals as an idea, is that all these characters coming together from all different points of the timeline in different dimensions and universes, you know? So like, once again, I'm not gonna say he's wrong, but the whole idea of Rivals is that characters can show up whenever and wherever, right? That's the entire point, right? So I don't know, he keeps going on about it. I won't criticize him for that. Emma's balancing when she released, honestly, we kind of needed a main tank to put a lot of characters in check. I think the strongest tank was Doctor Strange at the time before Emma's release, and at that point they did nerf Strange for some reason. And so with Doctor Strange being nerfed and Magneto slowly climbing the ranks, we definitely needed another tank to take hold. And then eventually people learned how to play Groot, and so the tank role actually got a lot better than what it was before in previous seasons, or the previous season. Yeah, because I would say probably like season 0 to like 1, the tank strength was relatively the same, and then 1.5 is where the tank role started gaining a little bit more steam. So yeah, me personally, I would rather a character come out a tad bit overpowered than underpowered. And the reason why is because if you look at the season 1, basically both 1 and 1.5 had a character that was really, really good and a character that was really, really bad. And ironically, both the characters that were bad were DPS characters. So that's kind of ironic. But yeah, if you just look at what was going on at the time, like nobody picked Fantastic. It was rare for anyone to pick Johnny. Goddamn, I couldn't think of the bro's name. It was rare for people to pick Johnny unless they were running Storm together. So it's just that, you know, when a character is not getting played, they don't have time to shine. And, you know, I feel like that's important. I would rather have a character be overtuned when they release, because then people are playing them. You can get accurate data on what's too good and what's bad and all that stuff. Whereas a character is underpowered, you could kind of get that same data, but like people aren't using them, so you kind of just have to buff everything until they're cracked, and then you tone it down. Which I would rather just a character be overtuned, and then have them know what the problem is, and then have them nerfed accordingly. So that's where I am with Emma. Ultron, I already talked about Ultron being a slow burner type of character, so I won't go into that. Well, this is probably going to be a different video, but anyway, Ultron is a slow burner type of support, not a instant gratification burst support like Rocket, Luna. He's kind of like that Mantis role where like her support is more gradual than instant, right? Her ultimate is not as strong, her healing's not as strong, but they're good enough where if you, as the person getting the support from Mantis, if you play well, it'll actually help you out in the long run. Whereas if you just pick up Luna or Rocket, you could just instantly right click, burst heal the opponent, and they could just go in, right? So yeah, Ultron is one of those characters.
Strategist, well, here you go. He's a Vanguard, he's a strategist. You know, we've already had them work because Ultron was leaked way back in like season 0 or whatever. So we knew we were going to get him eventually. Here he is. He just feels like he's just been dumped into this season willy-nilly. Not much thought going into him. A little healing drone, some bonus health. There you go. You know, he's a very strange strategist. He's not the best strategist to pick. He's fun to play. You know, even on Reddit, there's a lot of people complaining though about him literally hurting people's arms when they're trying to use them on keyboard and mouse, and people find it difficult to actually land hits with him on controller. So I think Ultron was a bit of a miss, honestly. I don't think he was a big deal coming to the game. I see people aren't even picking him most of the time now. Like, people are already bored of this character. I know he's a strategist, and I still say it, Loki's the most fun. He's the best strategist in the game to me. But yeah, Ultron just doesn't really cut it compared to Loki for me, at least. You know, it's just a weird transition of characters there. But Emma was a good one. I don't think Ultron was particularly a great character added to this game. Like I say, he's been added in as possibly the weakest strategist in the game. Him or Mantis right now aren't looking too good. Even Adam Warlock's probably more viable, like I mentioned before, than Ultron because he offers the revives and everything. So yeah, those are the characters. Not the best start, unfortunately. Now let's talk about the maps. So we have Krakoa and we have Arakko, and you know, it's some interesting lore behind these maps, you know, about them being like sister beings and stuff. Krakoa, I'm not a big fan of Domination, but it's easily the best Domination map in the game for me. I find it really enjoyable playing Domination on that map, at least. And not, like I said, I'm not a big fan of that game mode. Anything's better than Wakanda Domination. So, you know, Krakoa, you know, it's a nice looking map. They did a good job with that one. Now, Arakko, it's more my type of gameplay, you know, doing the payload stuff and all that stuff. The design of the map, it's so bad. Like the layout, it looks a lot like the Hydra base map as well. Looks like some reused assets, not gonna lie. But you're looking at the way to set up on defense. It's very attack orientated map, honestly, because the attackers can always seem to get the better ground, the higher ground against the defenders, mainly going through the portals, flanking that way and all that stuff. And it just progresses even further through the game and through the match. And once you get to the back end of the map as well, you know, that's probably like the best area when you're defending that last point. But overall, the map is just it's possibly the worst payload map in the game, honestly. But off the top of my head, I can't think of any worse ones. And payload's my bread and butter on this game. I really enjoy it. I just maybe Wakanda Convergence, you know, is probably just as bad as this map. Yeah, another one they hit the mark, missed the mark with. That's the weird common theme here, where Ultron and Arakko second half of the season hasn't been great. Loads of people have literally stopped playing the game as well. Yeah, moving on. Let's talk about the events of season 2.
Maps, I don't have a huge opinion on. I agree that I like Krakoa more than Arakko. Um, it definitely does feel more attack. I feel like I win more games when attacking on Arakko than defending on Arakko. I think I've only won like one single match defending on defense on Arakko, and every other game that I've had to defend, I lost like significantly more. Krakoa is probably one of my more favorite maps. Maybe I could do a tier list on what I feel about each map, but I like all the base maps pretty much equally. If I had to say, if I had to put it anywhere, I would probably say Wakanda. Wakanda's maps are probably my favorite. And then next would be the Spidey Islands. And then next would be Asgard. And then the last is Hydra. Krakoa is probably in between like Wakanda and what did I say was after Wakanda? The Spidey Islands. It's probably in between there, and then Arakko is probably like next to Hydra, and then next to Clintar. That's another map I forgot. I think Clintar is probably like my third favorite. Probably that Wakanda, Spidey Islands, Clintar, Asgard, and then Hydra base. And then I would put like Krakoa in between Wakanda and Spidey Islands, and then I'd probably put Arakko in between Clintar and Asgard. Once again, I'll probably do a tier list on it. It can be fun. But yeah, I don't have a very big opinion on it. So yeah, I won't talk about this one too much, because I think they're all good maps. I don't really have any big issues. The only issues I have with maps is when I'm a flyer. Because most of them tend to rebuild or build, or when you destroy it, it doesn't build back. You know, so like when I'm a flyer, like when I was playing Phoenix earlier, like sometimes I was trying to escape, and sometimes corners would be like hard to take because like I knew the building was gonna rebuild, or it has very weird edges, and so when I would try to jump and fly out, I would get caught on the edge, and then I would just die. So like stuff like that can get annoying, but overall I think the maps are pretty well designed, at least for me as a casual player. I will say Arakko is way more confusing than other maps. I would say it's probably the most confusing one out of all of them so far. It took a long time for me to get used to Arakko.
We have the Cerebro database where we got a free Manta skin. You get a free Hawkeye outfit right now. That's still going on. These events are a bit weird. You know, you got to complete like 3 lines and that's it. Then your challenge is done, the page is done, and that's it. You move on to the next one. You got to wait for that to release. Now, as far as the skins go, they're all right. You know, I like the Mantis one, the Hawkeye one. Take it or leave it. Not really characters that I play. I play a little bit of Mantis here and there. But yeah, they're just easier events, I guess, to do things. You don't have to really force yourself or go out your way too much, because you have all these different options of challenges you can do. So the Cerebro database event, it feels a little bit of a lazy event, to be honest, but you know, it's just for free skins, so you can't really complain too much, even though the free skins are pretty much you know, original outfits. Let's move on to the Wolverine patch event as well. Now, to be honest, this was a big win, getting the Wolverine patch outfit for free. Looking at the event, though, probably the most frustrating event ever for a lot of people, and everybody experienced it. This is why they delayed the event for another week for people to complete it.
Yeah, it took so long to do the Wolverine event. I remember trying to do it, and like during that time, I actually did take a break from Rivals for a little bit because I was focused on my local at that time. And so when I came back to the game just to play a couple games, like I was like, oh my god, I'm so far behind on this event for Wolverine. And it's like the way that you had to complete it, it was just like kind of convoluted. I think you had to like play certain games and then you would get stuff. I can't remember. Like I think you had to do missions which you would unlock tokens, and then you could use those tokens to buy tickets, and then when you bought tickets, it would randomly select like rewards for you, and then once you got all the rewards from the random select, then you could go to the final rewards page, and then you complete more missions, and then you would get Wolverine the full costume. And like, I mean, it was neat, but it was hella convoluted.
Is the personal time gating? This is fucking atrocious. Get it out the game. Why is it in the game? Nobody ever wants personal fucking time gating in a video game, especially if you're playing on console or PC. If you're on a mobile, fair enough, you expect time gating, but why is it in a mainstream game like Marvel Rivals? Personal time gating is atrocious. And what I mean by personal time gating, for those who don't understand what that is, for example, say there's 4 sets of challenges. So there's 4 pages or 3 pages, whatever. So just say everybody completes the first page. Now everybody has to wait, 24 hours until it unlocks for everybody in the game for page 2.
I
Once
agree.
that unlocks, then you could grind it out.
Yeah, I don't like that either. It's the same thing with the battle pass, right? Instead of time gating it chrono tokens gaps you. Where like Rocket is one of the last pages on the brand new Symbiote and Phoenix battle pass. So in order to get Rocket, you have to get, I think it's like 15,000 chrono tokens before you even unlock the page. Just for getting the page unlocked, you have to gather that many tokens. And I'm pretty sure it only applies to how much you have currently in your chrono token collection, right? It's not all inclusive. So like, for me as a Rocket player, I have to hold on basically to all my chrono tokens until I can get to his page to unlock the stuff. I can't just slowly build my way up, even if I wanted to 15k. I have to just hold all my chrono tokens until I get to that page. And it's dumb. I just want to unlock the stuff from the battle pass that I want and then move on.
However, if you miss it at all, if you didn't decide to keep up with everybody doing that, you will fall behind massively. And there's not a way for you to go onto the game and go, okay, I'm going to grind out all 4 pages right now because they're unlocked for everybody now. You can't do that. You've got to grind out 1 page, wait 24 hours or 12 hours, whatever. Grind out another page, wait, to the next day. Why? When the event is literally unlocked for everybody, over all the pages are finally unlocked to the public, everybody can complete them, they decided to put in personal time gating per page. No, don't do it. Don't. Why are you doing this? It's just nobody wants this in a game, and I figured out why they're doing this. Well, I have a theory, at least.
Increased player retention.
They don't care about playtime at all in this game. They don't give 2 shits how much you are playing Marvel Rivals for. They care about daily logins. That's it.
Yeah, player retention.
They're taking the mobile game metrics here of, we only care about players logging in daily. So, while that can make sense, I guess, you've seen people load up your game, you're like, oh man, we have so many concurrent players, keep coming back to Marvel Rivals. They're probably looking at those stats thinking they're doing really good. But they're probably not even paying attention to people's playtime that much. People hopping on, only doing a few quests and then getting off the game because, they can't grind for anything else unless they want to grind out for Lord. And Lord is another thing that's not really that great, to be honest. You get a little profile picture icon and you're like, oh, okay, that's it. You can't, I love playing Loki. He was my first ever Lord in the game. I really don't have a reason to play him in quick match, at least. I don't really play him in ranked either because I'm, I mean Mr. Fantastic, but I want to play a character sometimes and I'm just like, what's the point? Even though I have fun, yeah, I suppose that could be the point. But I would like something a little bit extra to keep playing that character. And I'm not the only one voicing this opinion about loading in the game. It's a big issue. Nobody really cares about loading characters too much, and even if you do max out the character, there's no real reason to go back to playing them, so you move on to somebody else that you may not enjoy much of playing in anyway. It's like every time we need a strategist now, I go and play Cloak and Dagger or Invisible Woman. I don't really like playing those characters that much, but I feel like I'm just wasting my time if I'm going to be playing Loki instead of those, you know? I want to feel like I'm progressing most of the time. And
this is such a weird criticism because I don't know what he's talking about. Or I don't know where he's going with it. Does he want more Lord rewards? Like, what do you want them to do? Because, like, let's just say, like, they did what you asked and added a skin to it. Then you're going to be like, well, what's the point if I just get a lousy skin? And most of the time, if they do that, it's probably just going to be a recolor. So, like, what do you want them to do? Like, play characters that you want to play. That's the whole point. Like, I don't. This is such a weird criticism. This doesn't make sense to me.
That's a big problem with this game, is you spend a lot of hours playing it and you don't feel like you're progressing massively on a lot of stuff. But, you know, when there's a bunch of events going on right now, it can be relatively fun. You know, you got your cerebral.
Well, yeah, that's what the events are for. Like, maybe it's just me as a fighting game player where, like, there's no such thing as Lord icons or, like, player retention, like, things for characters. Like, to me, just the avenue of getting better with my skills as a player is enough to keep me playing a character. Like, I don't need, like, icons or skins in order to do that. If I like a character, I'm gonna keep playing the character until they're not fun anymore and then move on. Like, I don't need something to keep playing a character. Like, I don't know if this guy's ever played a fighting game before, but, like, playing games that don't have that type of thing and just learning to love the character on its own merits is, like, the fun part. This guy says he's a Loki main, but then he got to Lord and he doesn't want to play Loki anymore. It's like, well, number one, he's one of the best supports in the game, so why wouldn't you play Loki? Especially in ranked. He said he doesn't even play Loki in ranked anymore, which is fucking crazy to me. So, like, what the fuck is this criticism? Okay. This one I don't get.
It's going on. The combat chest event's going on right now. Let's not talk about Ultron's Battle Protocol Matrix just yet. And yeah, those are the events going on, and you can currently earn some skins and stuff for free. And while some of them are nice, we now have this new thing called emojis in the game, and they're kind of flooding those into the game quite a lot to kind of fluff up a little bit more of content, thinking we're going to be earning more stuff. And maybe for Lorden, if we're going to go any further than Lorden, maybe we can get some emojis or something, if people would even give two shits about that. It's just weird content, to be honest, coming into the game that nobody really asked for, nobody really cares about, and it's sad because I feel like, you know, they've got everything down on this game, you know, apart from balancing and characters and just design-wise, you know, they've got everything looking good. Some of the decision-making right now is massively questionable. You know, there's things they really need to, like, dial it in on, lock in on that particular thing, and they're currently not doing that. But yeah, that was the time gating problem with the Wolverine patch event. We also had the Scarlet Witch outfit. Was that time gated? I think it was. You had to complete 3 games a day for a free outfit. So you had to log in like 3 or 4 days or whatever to get the Scarlet Witch outfit. I think, I really can't remember. But yeah, the time gating on the Wolverine patch skin was possibly the worst thing that I've ever experienced in this game. Just personal time gating was fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And then we have the combat chest. So the combat chest, and just including the battle pass in general here, they're all time gated too. So
yeah, I don't like
only upgrade those or unlock new levels on those from
chrono tokens
coming on and doing your challenges that are there. That's it. You can't sit and just actually play the fucking game to grind out a battle pass or this combat chest. You know, you've got to wait till there's challenges available. Something else I fucking hate in games like this. It's a free-to-play game. You look at the models on other games though, First Ascendant, Fortnite. You know, those that do like battle passes. That's just off the top of my head, and I don't know. I never bought a battle pass in Overwatch, so I don't know how that fucking works. But those you could at least grind XP so you could complete it relatively faster. You know, this on the other hand, you've got a maximum amount of chrono tokens you can earn a day, and you just feel like, oh well, that's it. And you know, I'm not a big comp player, and people probably play this game.
And the thing about this too is that they've actually removed daily missions from Rivals, which is a good and a bad thing, because now you don't have to log in every single day to play. You can, like they said in their dev blog, you can log in, grind the game for like a full 24 hours, do all the missions, and then not log in for another week, right? If you want to. And that might affect player numbers. It's just that I agree you should be able to earn chrono tokens just from playing the game, and the only way, and the sad part is that you can only do it through these missions is kind of a travesty. So I agree with him on that. I just think that the battle pass just needs to be, all pages need to be unlocked for the battle pass, and you get to unlock whatever you want. If they did that but increased the prices of the individual items like per chrono tokens, like I would be fine with that. Just allow me to unlock whatever I want to, right? Even on the old battle passes you can't do that, because like on, I think it was like season 0, there was that Hella skin. Like, well, no, I don't think season 0 had that. I think it was season 1 and beyond. Season 1 had the, what skin was it? I can't remember, but I remember in season 2 there was the Joe Fixit outfit for Hulk. I literally couldn't unlock that Hulk skin until like 2 weeks later, like after the battle pass came out, because A, I wasn't playing as much, and B, it was token locked from me, and I just find that ridiculous. Thank you everyone for making it this far into the video. Just gonna take a quick break to do some shoutouts. First, shoutouts to my friends' channels. Please consider checking them out, as they provide a variety of content, so at least one of them will have something that you'll enjoy. Second, if you live near the York, PA area, please head down to Ready Up Gaming Lounge. It's a place where gamers from every genre can come together and play in a comfortable and chill environment. They are open from 11 AM to 8 PM every day and hold dedicated events every week. For my channel's interest, they run Fighting Fridays, where for $5.30, you can play a multitude of fighting games with various players. They have big games like Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, but they also have niche games like Dragon Ball FighterZ, Guilty Gear Strive, Rivals of Aether 2, and more. Finally, shout out to all my supporters on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. You guys really make doing content fun and worth pursuing. Alright, back to the video.
Game for a competitive feel. It doesn't matter if you're playing comp or quick match now. Every fucking game is sweaty. You'll have the odd quick match game that is not as sweaty, but every game I play since hitting Celestial, quick match or ranked, as this was the same last season, every game was sweaty as shit. People playing 3 healers, people playing the flyer comps, people playing the dive comps, like whipping out their lords in quick match and all this stuff. Like it's absolutely insane, and it's hard to have fun on a game sometimes when you feel like every fucking game is for a $5,000 tournament. It's a big problem, and it's the matchmaking in general for this game. And you know, that's another debate that people go on about on Reddit and everywhere that I look about this game, is the rigged matchmaking. You know, you win so many games, you feel like you're getting dumped with worse players the next day. And honestly, from my experience, the amount of hours I have on this game, it definitely feels like that. It really does. Since
I
the
can
season
see that.
came out, I've only played 12 hours of it. This is my least played, well, second half of the season. The first half of the season is probably my most played of this game, but yeah, the second half, I've barely really been interested in playing this particular season. I'm just so done with the theme. The events aren't that interesting for the character skins and stuff, and I suppose it's cool if you main those characters, but honestly, I'm probably the one of very few left content creators who are genuinely having fun with the game, because I can still load it up. I can still have a good time despite all these issues, because I love Marvel. I love playing these types of games, so I have fun regardless. It just disheartens me sometimes when I'm seeing people and they're like, "Oh, I'm not playing this anymore. I'm bored of this game." You know, it kind of puts me down a bit. I'm like, well, you know, I'm still having fun, and the reason
It's instant gratification. It's the instant gratification era of gaming, where there's so many options that if the game that you're playing doesn't hit you with instant gratification, or it's not almost perfect, people will just move on to the next game, or go back to the game that they were already playing. Like, you just have to accept that, right? When people come on here and do videos like this and they're like, I would play this game more, but it doesn't have the player base, I'm just sitting here like, what do you want? Like, that's just the era we live in, dude. Not everyone is stuck to their same 3 to 5 games, and that's all they do. Like, there's plenty of other options for other players to engage with. And if Marvel Rivals isn't the season for them, then they're just not gonna play. And it's like, I feel bad about it, but like, it's just how it is.
and I'm having fun is winning or losing is it's Marvel. Like, that's it really. I couldn't give two shits about the balancing half the time because I just want to play my favorite characters and have a good experience. And right now that's not possible because of the balancing, really. You know, people, like I said, the matchmaking is killing the vibe of this game of just having pure fucking sweat lords almost every game. And I just want to chill back with my controller, relax, and, you know, shoot some people. But instead, I've got people jumping on my screen for one frame as Spider-Man, trying to pull people off a map and one-shot them. And same goes with Black Panther, trying to do wombo combos with him. That's just ruining the experience for a lot of people. And, you know, I've got a... Not everybody's play is called competitive, so they want a kind of casual experience in quick match, and at the end of the day, it's the player base's fault. There's not very much the developers can do about that, because everybody just seems to have a high ego about them. They're super fucking sweaty. I just played a game before when I was playing Invisible Woman, just chilling. We had a Lord Spider-Man on the enemy team. Dude ulted every single time, didn't get a single kill, and he rage quit at the end of the game. Like, just full of fucking crybabies in quick play, and it's the most bizarre shit I have ever seen in a game like this. Like, I could hop on Overwatch right now and have a way more chill experience. Granted, I never reached, you know, high ranked in the Overwatch. You know, I was like high platinum and diamond, and I got top 500 one time on as fucking Lucio. But no, not in Lucio Ball. Before you say anything, this was Overwatch Season 2 in the OG days. That's how good I was. I'm just kidding. So I never actually got that far in Overwatch, but I could still hop on there and probably, you know, have a more chilled experience than, you know, Rivals offers currently, because it just, there's something going on with the matchmaking right now, and it just feels horrible. And you get this is a thing that's happening right now as well, is loads of people are fucking smurfing because of it. People are making new accounts so they can play different characters and they can just chill and relax, because they don't want to be whipping out their lords in quick match just to get a victory every time, or to actually feel like they can do anything or actually progress in the game anywhere, or even have a sense or an inkling of victory. You know, nobody wants to get stomped on in these games, even if they are having fun. Nobody wants to just sit there coming out of spawn and play Respawn Simulator. No, people don't want to do that. People want to actually play a character they want to have fun with and go out there and potentially just hold an objective down for a few minutes. That's fine, you know. What you'll see in quick match and these competitive games, even in rank this happens, even in celestial rank this happens. You'll play a game where you'll just fucking cream the other team completely. The other team will get like 3 kills between them. Your team's sitting there with like 45 kills between all of them. You're like, yeah, okay. And this is celestial rank? You're gonna tell me this matchmaking isn't fucking rigged? The same thing goes on quick match as well. What is happening here? I've never... Every PvP game I've played, I've never experienced matchmaking like it. And I've fucking sat and played through the shenanigans of Dead by Daylight's matchmaking for years. And even that wasn't as unbalanced and messy as this shit. So, yeah, that's one thing they need to look at, is the matchmaking for Season 3 when that eventually drops, because, yeah, Hellfire slop season just ain't it right now. Moving on to the next thing here that they've added to the game is Ultron's Battle Protocol Matrix. that nobody else is fucking playing. Nobody gives a shit about this game mode. I've done a review about this. Nobody even cared to listen to my review about this game mode because, like I said, nobody gives two shits about it. And looking on Reddit, I don't see a single person talking about this game mode. I mainly see it in the partner chat on the Discord that we're in. And even then, people aren't really talking about it that much. And they have... I'm too critical. Okay, I'm just sitting here, I'm thinking, okay, this is like still a free-to-play game. But I want to see a game succeed. I don't want to see developers wasting their time when they could be putting that time and effort into perfecting the main game mode, fixing matchmaking and stuff like that. When we're starting to see game modes like this that are playing out for 45 minutes, you're talking 30 to 45 minutes to unlock a spray or two emojis. Now, I have fun with the game mode in some degree, but I'd much rather see it in something else. You know, I'd rather see it in its own format. I'd rather see it in its own game. Having this in Rivals is not a great game mode at all. And if you're loading up Marvel Rivals right now, or anybody who's watching this and listening, if you wanted to play a Marvel Rivals, are you really going to load it up and say, I'm going on to Marvel Rivals today to play Ultron's Battle Protocol Matrix? Are you really going to sit there and say that? No, you're not. You want to...
It was a cool idea, but I feel like they should, for right now, they should just have modes that are just made within the foundation of Marvel Rivals. Like the clone battles and the big head battles was basically Marvel Rivals, but with a gimmick, right? This one was like a totally different mode, and it's only going to cater to a certain amount of players, right? It's kind of like what Dragon Ball Kakarot did, where like it's a single player RPG, but then they added a card game into the game with online matchmaking. It's like, why? Like why? Like, why did you add an online card game? And like, some people actually liked it, but a majority of people who play Kakarot play it for the single player experience. So I just think that going forward, they should just stick to Marvel Rivals, but with a gimmick, right? Until it gets to the point where people are like, okay, we need something else to shake it up dramatically, right? But I think this mode was a really good start. So I won't criticize the mode too much. And it's not a mode for me. I've played it like once or twice, and I was like, it was okay. It was fine. But it's just not a mode for me. And so I'm not going to say it's a terrible mode. It's not something for me, you know?
You're going Marvel Rivals, you want to play the team game. Or maybe you want to do some team deathmatch, or maybe you want to do some free-for-all. That's fine. But this... No. And you know what? It had a cool concept. It had a cool idea. You know, we could have seen how synergies work with the certain characters, and instead they blew it way out of proportion. They added all these buffs and debuffs and all this shit that you've got to read and try and put into a build, or try and build up your team with that. And again, it's as unbalanced as the main game mode, because every fucker just runs 6 tanks most of the time, and that's it. GG's. Doesn't matter what you do. My tanks are just supreme and gonna fucking kill everything. So, yeah. It's not the best. It's not the best game mode. Take it out the game. It's a miss. Just put it as its own thing. Maybe make a mobile game out of it. I'll play it. Just not right now. Not with the state the game's in right now. It definitely didn't need something like this. Let's just put it out there. Maybe in a year's time you can have it in for a little fluff piece and some little bit of fun, but nah, it's just not great. And let's move on to the balancing real quick of this Hellfire slop season. Balancing wise, probably the most I don't know, because right now the game is probably way more fun than it ever was in terms of balancing. Despite me going on about the matchmaking and all that stuff, the balancing right now is probably in the best spot it's been in a long time compared to previous seasons. And I'm mainly saying that because it's more into a flying meta now. There's not much diving going on anymore. You know, they got rid of a lot of annoying stuff like one-shot Spider-Man and all that stuff that was in the game. So it's more team fight orientated, which is way more enjoyable. However, However, and this is a big however, they still haven't fixed 3 healers. Big fucking issue in the game. Even for winning and losing games, people are complaining. Like I was saying before, they keep designing characters as like an off healer or as an off tank or whatever. And, you know, you're playing a strategist, so you're expecting to output some heals. And Ultron, Adam Warlock are the perfect examples here. They're really underwhelming. Okay, they're really underwhelming healers in general, and maybe Mantis as well if you want to throw her in the mix. Because they're strategists, not healers. And having 3 in the game, it's way too much. Just having 3 healers in general going up against that.
So you guys want a 2-2-2 game? People were like, no, we don't want 2-2-2. But every time people bring up triple strategists, I'm like, well, what do you want? Well, I don't ask them this, but in my mind, I'm like, what do you want? And my answer is always 2-2-2. People don't want a game where it's 1 tank, 1 support, 1 DPS. People don't want games where it's 2 tanks, 3 DPS, 1 support. People don't want 2 strategists, 3 DPS, 1 tank. People don't want that. So what do you want? You want 2-2-2. But you guys were the same people when the game was starting to come out, and they were like, we don't want 2-2-2 queues. We want open ranks so people have the expression and the skill and the opportunity to switch to whatever we want. But now that triple support is a viable option, now it's too far. Like, are you fucking serious? Like, are you being dead ass? And notice how people never talk about the triple tank meta that was like briefly in the game, where people ran Strange, Venom, and Magneto, and then they did what was it, Loki, Luna, and then like Hela for like the DPS role. Nobody was talking about the triple tank. Nobody was talking about the well, some people were talking about the flyer DPS meta, where it was like literally like 3 flyers, 2 supports, and 1 tank. Like, some people did bring that up, but like, notice how like the gravity between these roles being overcompensated within the role is dramatically different than the others. It's just kind of crazy to me.
It drags the fights out. It's not saying you can't win against 3 heals. It just drags fights out way too long than they have to be. You know, you can cycle through the entire team's ult like 2 or 3 times before sometimes you even push through the boundaries of that. And that's a problem, you know, and people who will say that's not a problem are absolutely fucking delusional. If you don't think that having 3 healers out healing, you know, all these ults and stuff in the game, you know, it's a big issue. And they're designing characters like Ultron, like Adam Warlock, like Mantis to be off healers. So when you do play a game and your randoms decide to play Ultron and Adam Warlock as the 2 healer comp, yeah, that's a good time, isn't it? It's really not. It's the most miserable experience ever.
So you want every support to play the exact same, because that is what you're gonna get. When you say we don't want characters to play like off healers, or what you're asking for is we want all healers to play the same and take the same role. You want every support to be like Luna and Rocket and Cloak and Dagger, where they get instant gratification burst heals and instant I win button ultimates. That's basically what you're saying. Because like, what other option is there? What other option is there? Because if they made a DPS, that's they can't make DPS. They can't make supports to have a DPS focus like Adam. God forbid people start asking for a tank that is supportive, because it would be a character that never dies. So you can't have that. So the only option is a burst instant gratification healer. There's no other option. It's crazy how support class is the most criticized, but also they don't want the diversity to make it an interesting role. People talk about like, oh, support is the least interesting role, when they have some of the most dynamic kits out of all of the characters. You're gonna tell me that like fucking Adam Warlock being like this very like corner based burst DPS resurrection character is not dynamic as like fucking Venom, where the only thing you do as Venom is that you swing, slam down, and hit your primary and then swing out. That's literally all you do. You want to talk about Thing, who was like the only thing you do as Thing is hold right click and freaking do the running attack? Like, seriously?
And so they really need to do something with having 3 healers there, so we can actually see Ultron and Adam Warlock get buffed up into a sort of main healer or a secondary healer, not as off healers that even their damage numbers don't really make up for it. So yeah, I don't agree with the way the balancing is in this game right now. You know, 2 times crit damage, that needs gone out of the game. It's way too much. You know, you'll have hella 2-shotting people, fucking chunking half of a tank's HP from 2 headshots. Really? It's too much. You know, maybe 1.5 is fine, 1.75 maybe. 2? That's still in the game. 2 times crit damage. Why? Why? So yeah, balancing wise, despite everything I've just said, it's way more fun than it used to be because they just got rid of a lot of annoying shit. However, I will never forgive them for what they've done to Thor in this game, because whatever the fuck that is, I don't want to be a part of it. As someone who loaded Thor, absolutely killed that guy's playstyle, turned him into a...
So, you're not okay with them basically turning Thor into a fat DPS, but it's not okay for supports to not be burst healing supports? So it's okay for other roles to have other identities, but support is not allowed to have identities outside of burst healing. Okay.
A range tank, and he's... Every time I come up against a Thor now, I'm like, oh look, it's this guy, and I beat the shit out of him with Invisible Woman or something. Like, he is absolutely pathetic the way he's in the game right now. Whoever's balancing this game, it feels like they don't actually play the game or notice what's going on. I swear they're just looking at metrics or something, or damage numbers or anything like that. If that even was the case, though, Thor had a pretty high win rate last season for his pick rate, and everybody was calling him the worst tank in the game last season. Clearly absolutely clueless, because he was like one of the highest tanks, like the highest win rate tanks in the game, despite having even a pretty high pick rate. So that's impressive. But they decided to change him and make him just fucking horrible to play. Like, he's so clunky now. I don't know how to explain it, but having loaded Thor and played him since the beta, he just doesn't feel right. Everything that I do, it's like, it feels like I'm counteracting my play style, and it's just, it doesn't feel right at all. And I don't click with the character anymore, so I don't enjoy him. But balancing wise, this season, despite it being better, it's still bad, and it needs a big improvement. And this is going to be a problem going forward, because the game's already got way too many duelists in the game, and you know, now we're going to be moving into a new map and a new character every month in this game. Every 4 weeks, we're going to have a new character and a new map. I don't think that's going to work out in the long term. Maybe they want to buff up to a certain amount of characters in the roster and then go, okay, we're done now. We're just going to be adding this and that. You know, we're going to do a battle pass this season with some new maps, and that's it. So I don't know how long the 1 month stuff is going to last for. I can probably see it lasting until the end of this year maximum, and then they're going to change their minds because they're going to realize how fucked the balancing is, because it's already fucked with too many characters in the game. Not to mention the team ups and all that stuff that goes along with adding new characters. So yeah, just kind of imagine what kind of convoluted mess we're going to be fucking stuck with in a few months' time of this game. And now let's talk about the skins, and I want to highlight something real quick, okay? And I might be wrong here. I try to look back and just see things, and it's not a really big deal, but you know, they brought out this customization option, okay, where they were going to add recolors for skins and stuff. I don't feel like many people bought them because they haven't been doing any more since then, and it's been, you know, since the start of season 2, really, since they did this, and they haven't added any more customizable outfits, and we're only getting 2 outfits a week right now. I think they need to rethink their outfit scheduling and stuff on how they're going to drop things, because dropping 2 a week right now isn't the best idea, especially when you've just had this customization thing brought to the game and you haven't even done anything with that. Daily resets, maybe, I don't know, like do things like that, because I'm not saying add a skin daily, but you know, there's certain skins that have just came back, the 616 skins from the first season and stuff. You know, they've just brought them back. But you know, maybe they should do that as a refresher as well. I don't know. Just adding 2 skins a week right now just feels horrible for this, because the amount of MCU skins, comic book skins that you can add to this game, we're getting so many original outfits now, and it's kind of whack, to be honest. The original outfits are, some of them are fun, but some of them are just piss poor. They really are. There's a legend, the legendary Groot outfit, that's a comic one, has literally the worst MVP I've ever seen. It's so short, it lasts like 2 seconds, and you're like, wow, that's it. So yeah, just looking back, and my intel could be wrong here, because I try to look back.
I don't have much opinions on skins. I think overall they're pretty decent, pretty good. And so I'm only gonna pay for the ones that I like, and don't pay for the ones I don't like. So yeah,
for all the skins and everything that they've brought out in season 2. I don't think they've dropped, I think they only dropped 1 MCU outfit, which was the Thunderbolts outfit, right? For Winter Soldier. I'm pretty sure that's it. And up till now, we're not far away from getting season 3, by the way. We're about 4 weeks away from that. There's only 4 weeks left of this season. We've only had 1 MCU outfit. And say what you like about people who enjoy the MCU over enjoying comic books and whatnot. That's what people are the most familiar with Marvel, is the MCU. Not everybody reads the comics. I don't read the comics. I've read some comics, but I don't read them. You know, I'm more familiar with the old school Spider-Man, X-Men cartoons, old Marvel games and stuff like that. That's
okay. I was kind of gonna bring up him talking about the Gala topic, the Gala theme, and saying like in the books, maybe the Hellfire Gala comic books are the ones that he's familiar with, but like it's weird that, like, once again, it's a multi-universal, multi-timeline theme for rivals in general, so they can do whatever they want and it would fit within the theme, because that's the kind of game they've built up to now, and the fact that they want to add in new interesting characters from all across Marvel into this game. That's the point, so they can do whatever they want. I know a lot of people were saying like, oh yeah, we should have got Blade in season 1 because it's a vampire theme. It's like, yeah, but like, it's Marvel Rivals. That's the entire point, is that they can combine different aspects of Marvel, even if it's not the one that like you think it should be. It's like they can do that because that's the universe they've set up. So I don't know, just a weird point.
where I've had all my intel and enjoyment from Marvel, along with Marvel movies growing up as well. And we don't, you know, going through an entire season with 1 MCU outfit. Instead, we're getting all these original outfits. We had a few comic outfits, quite a few, but yeah, your biggest selling point, and Marvel's Avengers, the game, if you ever played that, learned that the hard way as well. And I'm not saying you need dumb outfits in the game constantly to improve it. You know, that's not, you know, there's millions of other things I need to do to improve this fucking game going forward. MCU outfits are the big sellers. They really are. I guarantee you almost everybody's bought the MCU outfits in this game, particularly like Iron Man, Spider-Man's, you know, and by far they are the best outfits in this game, because even though like some of them are legendary and stuff, they change the noises. They've got some really good MVPs in there.
It might just be a licensing thing.
Baffling why we've only had 1 brought to the game this entire season. Last season we got a lot more, although to be fair, we did, I think, last season maybe we only got 1 as well, which was the Captain America one. actually can't remember. But yeah. Why we've only had like one MCU skin? They need to start putting them in the game. They're the big sellers. It's what people ask for the most from Marvel's Avengers, and it took them so fucking long to actually start putting those MCU skins in that a lot of people just left the game and stopped playing it because
I'm sorry, no. People didn't leave the Marvel Avengers game because there weren't MCU skins. That game was just a bad game. No, this point, no. I'm gonna 100% disagree with that. Marvel's Avengers was just a bad game. It had nothing to do with the skins, right? And even then, the base roster designs weren't that great anyway. So, like...
that wasn't it. Again, the skins don't change gameplay or anything like that, so I'm not saying that's ultimately the reason why, but a lot of people are interested in seeing those outfits and seeing them brought to the game. Maybe it's earnable for free as well. You know, we've had free comic ones. Why not free MCU outfits as well that we can earn and do events around that? You know, it's just... it's season 2. It's early days for Marvel Rivals. I was expecting something so much better, and I hope this is a season they're going to learn from their mistakes with massively. Season 3 is just around the corner, only 4 weeks away, give or take a few days. Will it be a big improvement? I really don't know. But there's rumors that it's going to be Null and symbiotes. That's probably infinitely, you know, better than this fucking Hellfire slop season that we've just had. And on that note, after everything that I've broken down about the season and everything that we've just gone through, I'm giving this one a 3 out of 10. And the reason it's getting a 3 out of 10, despite me just shitting on it a lot, and a 3 out of 10 is generous, is because of Emma Frost and the free Wolverine patch skin. That's the only reason why this is getting a 3 out of 10. Otherwise, it would be a lot lower than that. And yeah, maybe I'm being too critical. I don't give a shit. I'm giving you my opinion about it. It is easily the worst theme and character combination they could have ever done. It really is. There could have been even an entire event inside of nowhere. They could have done an event in there that would have just been infinitely better than this. And they could have added fucking Howard the Duck as a playable character, and it would have been better than this shit. I don't know. It's
Howard the Duck over
so
Emma Frost and Ultron. Fan favorite characters? Are you serious, brother? I know he's kind of being hyperbolic, but like, he keeps going on about this theme, and I'm still trying to understand where he's coming from, because the basis of Marvel Rivals is that it's a multi-universal event. They can do and put in whatever they want. It's not weird to see Emma Frost and Ultron together in a season, because that's the universe they've built up to now. Like, what are you talking about? This is... Jesus Christ. And he keeps going on about this theme. And the fact that, like, this theme is why it's a 3 out of 10. At first, I thought I was going to say 3 out of 5, because it's like, I'm middle of the road, right? It's not great, but it's not bad either. No, he's saying it's just a straight up bad season overall because of the theme as one of his biggest points. Like, are you for real? Like, I get it, right? You want to see other avenues of the Marvel universe explored, right? Like, they have plans for this stuff in the future, right? They probably already had it planned out even before Season 0 came out. But they've set up this universe as this is our multi-universal game where we can combine things together that normally wouldn't be the case because we have the ability to do so. And they've already acknowledged that character-wise, they basically have the entire Marvel catalog behind them by Marvel Studios themselves, or Marvel Comics, or whoever owns Marvel, right? They have their backing, and they're like, we can create whatever characters we want. And I assume that they can create whatever story they want as well. So like, they literally set up a universe where they can do whatever they want, however they want it, because it's a multi-universal dimensional event. Like why is it weird to see Ultron and Emma in the same season? Like, why is that fundamentally an issue? you could say, oh yeah, these aren't characters that I would personally have chosen, right? That's different than saying it's a bad choice. Like, are you serious?
Interesting. The events were so uninteresting. Like last season, I gave last season like a 7 out of 10. I was probably way too harsh on that because looking at last season, it is miles above season 2, and the game should be improving going forward. And unfortunately, it's just going backwards right now, and I'm very sad about it because I was hoping this game would have went somewhere. I'm not going to say that this game's going to die. That's just there's no chance in hell that this game will die just because it's Marvel. Marvel are always pulling the players. There'll be still people playing this game for the fun.
I'm sorry, no, Avengers failed. Sorry. Just because it's Marvel doesn't mean it's gonna have a player base. Because the Avengers game failed. That failed tremendously. Marvel Infinite failed tremendously. Marvel 3, when it came out, failed tremendously. Just because it's Marvel doesn't mean it's going to be an instant success and it's going to have player retention for the long term. I'm sorry, but that's not true.
First time tomorrow, you know, it's still going to get an influx of players. Is it right to play it right now? No, it's not. I wouldn't recommend people pick this up right now, even though maybe play it to get the free outfits and then don't play it anymore and wait till next season and see if things improve there, because right now everybody's at each other's throats. Everybody's being toxic. Everything that I've mentioned, people just constantly having an ego about them in gameplays, inside of matches, inside the game chat. People telling them to off each other, and it's just there's too much bullshit in this game right now to really.
But that has nothing to do with the game itself. But continue on.
Chill and enjoy it. You know, you'll find that some games like that, but ultimately it's like.
That has nothing to do with the game itself
right now. And yeah, it's not even me being burnt out. Like I said, I'm probably like the one of few content creators that actually still enjoy playing this game. Unfortunately, a lot of my viewers and fans have decided to not play this game much anymore. So I'm mainly solo queuing these days, and that can lead me to being a little bit bored of that, unfortunately. So yeah, that is my review of the Hellfire slop season. Feel free to leave your opinions down below. If you have anything bad to say about my opinion, do it in a nice way, at least. Don't attack me, because I will just kick your ass in the comments. But thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I've been Pixels, my awesome views. I'll catch you guys in the next one.
I'm really curious on like what he said specifically about season 1 in order to give it a 7 out of 10. Right? And for it to be a 3 out of 10 now. Like, if it was me, like, I'd probably say, like, me personally, I would probably say this last season was like a 6 out of 10. And then season 1 was probably like an 8. And then season 0 was probably like a 9. So it has gone down, but a 3 out of 10? A 3 out of 10. That is bonkers to me. Actually wild. Okay. Definitely an opinion that I do not share with him, but it's always good to have opinions different from yours. So I'm going to put this in the chat so you guys can go to this channel, like and subscribe, all that good stuff.